What's going on, people? It's your boy Wes back at you another video today. I will be going over with a friend of mine from the Street Race community, Eternal. We're going to be going over in depth on the patch notes, the current patch notes, doing a little comparison between these patch notes and the patch notes than a year and a half, 2 years ago. But I was surprised because I know both of us know that a bunch of people don't know what's going on with the patch notes, understand them pretty much, how significant the changes are to certain characters. If certain characters didn't really get much buffs, they just got a little tweak, things like that. Yeah, so we're gonna go over these patch notes and go as detailed as we can, get people to understand, and you know, that's really about it. So with that being said, let's get it cracking. So we're gonna go in order from Streets of Rage 4 to the DLC characters. So we're gonna start with Axel 4. So let's go over what happened to this guy in the past. So last thing they said that the patch notes from before these patch notes, he had a longer jump. SOR move has bigger damage and longer active frames. Air special has shorter recovery, bigger length, bigger damage, more active frames. Air kick combos. Combo does more damage. Combo does more damage. I guess it's combos in general. Blitz does more damage and ignores enemies' weight. Back attack has better wall bounce properties, which is good. Headbutt is invincible. Charge attacks wall bounce damage increase. Offensive special now inflicts small wall bounce damage. Combo now inflicts small wall bounce damage. So let's go to the current patch notes.
So scrolling down to the current patch that we all got now, I'm gonna start with Axel here. So now his air down attack has a slightly bigger hitbox. That's the attack he does in the air when he jumps, and he does like this little knee. It's a pretty good combo starter. Dragon Crush. So this is I believe this is one of his ult moves. So improvements were made to this move a lot in this update. Now it has air control. The hitbox is better. You're actually invincible until you land, and even like a little frame afterwards. So this move, using it actually feels good now. You can actually do some pretty sick combos with it. I can't wait to see what people come up with it. Because I know there was a bunch of other changes that they gave him that made him feel more consistent, and I really feel like that's what this update is. It's the consistency update that was desperately needed. So going over more Axel changes here. So that's just the Dragon Crush changes. The next change is for his offensive special, his alternative one. It's called Dragon Bite.
Yeah.
Basically, so his offensive special on the ground. You know, you do his normal air special, and he does a little roll and then that punch.
Yeah. He's so
his offensive special,
okay.
that's alternative. Yeah. So his offensive special, that's the ultimate in case you don't have it unlocked.
Yeah.
It's just that roll part and then the punch. But now,
oh yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, so now that it's on the ground, the move changes. So looking at it here, on Dragon Bite, it now has better recovery, which is good because that thing, when it would start hitting with multiple people, its hit stop was really bad. So that getting faster recovery, good. It costs less green light to use, which that's another thing that I feel like this patch did, is it redid everybody's special health usage, which was desperately needed, especially with somebody like Adam. Another buff that they did is they increased the damage. That thing hits hard now. That move hits really hard, and I feel like people need to pay attention to the damage buffs, because you're gonna notice a lot of those in this patch.
Yeah, the damage buffs are pretty good in this game.
Yeah, yep. Don't take those for granted, people. They're really good. Another change for Dragon Bite is it now has more active frames. So a problem that was happening with this move is because he's extending his fist out forward and then lingering a bit, it wasn't as active for as long as you saw it. So what would end up happening is in tight, chaotic situations, like a good example is on stage 3, when you get on, I think it's right before you fight Nora, you get in that long hallway where you can't go up and down. and there's a bunch of enemies.
Yeah.
This move is pretty decent there, but the problem that that move was running into a lot for me on that stage was my fist would be hanging after I do that offensive special, and sometimes a Galcia with a knife would actually hit the tip of my fist, which would count as a hurt box. But because it wasn't active, it wasn't actually punching him. So you would get clipped a lot. So now that they have more active frames on that, you guys should have a lot more consistency with connecting that fist and not getting clipped as bad.
And he's faster too, seems.
Yep. And then the final change for Dragon Bite, which is my favorite one, is it has less freeze now, which is good. So what that means is in Streets of Rage, especially in this one, when you hit multiple enemies with the same attack, sometimes your character will take a minute as he's hitting each person, which is basically the hit freeze. Sometimes it can cause you to get hit because if you're not careful, you hit too many enemies. The enemy that you hit that is not recovering off the ground can come up and hit you during the move. You're gonna see that change a lot. So less freeze is good. You want that because now the move's gonna finish quicker, which means you can recover and reposition to maybe hit again or do something different.
Let's head stun on your thing, on opposing end.
Yeah. So that's a great change. That's all the changes for Dragon Bite. They did a few changes to the Grand Upper. So now it has increased invincibility time, which means it's going to be a much better anti-air and a much better safe option in case you can't jab. Keep in mind, Grand Upper is cancelable.
Yep, it wasn't like that before.
Yep, so you can cancel it. I think it's the first 2 hits. On the 3rd hit, I don't think it's cancelable. I can't remember if it is or not.
No, not the 3rd hit isn't. So this is the first 2 hits.
Yeah, so before he lifts his fist up and that uppercut motion from Grand Upper, if you need to, you can react. Yeah, there you go. So you got that going on. And then the other change that it got is it does more damage. Again, don't take these damage buffs lightly, people. Damage buffs are really good because they allow you to, get through enemies quicker. You'll be able to reposition much quicker when you do this kind of stuff. And then the other really nice change that I was waiting for Grand Upper that actually makes it better now, even though I still feel like people are going to try to use the Dragon Roll for him. Grand Upper can now hit multiple enemies. Before, sometimes during that that little slide with the Grand Upper, sometimes it wouldn't catch people. It would sometimes drop people out, or people will just go flying a different direction or something like that. Now that it's made to hit multiple people, it should be a lot more consistent, and it should be really good for you dealing with crowds of enemies. So if your grouping is on point, you're definitely going to be able to easily kill people with this move, especially since you can special cancel the first 2 hits. So overall, Grand Upper, good move, and it's good that they're buffing the base moves because it's going to help people get the alternative moves later. Now we have the Dragon Dive. So going over the changes here, now they improved the last hit on this hitbox, longer active frames, less free. Yeah, that sounds like, okay, that sounds like the little world he does.
Yeah.
So yeah, they buffed it even more. Moving on, Dragon Upper. So Dragon Upper is the alternative defensive that he has. So it's that uppercut I was talking about. They make it buffed this patch. So now it has slight air control, and anytime you see slight air control in this update or this patch note, it just means that you can move around. So when you do this move, you won't have to sit in place or go a certain route. You can control it and adjust on the fly, which is really nice. Because before, you couldn't.
Yeah, it's not as committal, basically.
Yeah, you don't have to commit. And it also leads to some interesting combos once you get the air control done. That's right. So it has slight air control. It has a better hitbox now. It hits off the ground, which that's really nice. The fact that he gets a new OTG, that's pretty quick.
Scoop people up.
The recovery is now invincible. So
that's
that
nice.
Makes it a lot more safe. You can actually use it in like Mania Plus content and survival mode a little more freely now. And the final change for it is it has less freeze on hit, so that means it's going to complete pretty much at the same consistency regardless of how many people it hits. Much needed love for Dragon Upper. Go ahead and use it, people. It's better now.
Use that move.
And now we're going to talk about one of his star move changes. It's the only one I see on this list. It's his Dragon Burst. It's the original. The Tornado effect is now much bigger hitbox, which means
you get more people.
Yeah, you're gonna get more people, but you also have to remember, I believe this also affects the boss version of him too when you fight him in survival. So watch out for that. I don't think they would be that mean, but considering the way that they changed the AI behavior this update, because it was a drastic change, I noticed like the enemies are being a lot smarter now. You have to actually be aware. Boss Axel might have gotten this buff too, so watch yourself. Good change though.
Hitbox is a lot bigger, sucks people in more. Good to go.
So now the next change that they did to him is the charge attack recovers faster. So Axel's charge attack is known for being one of the better ones in the game. It is capable of grouping up enemies when there's multiple enemies in line. So if you were like to spawn multiple enemies in there and just line them up and do one charge attack, the first guy you hit is going to hit all the other ones and knock them down. And now that it has faster recovery, that's really good because a lot of people like to use little tricks with that charge attack. Because like Axel, we know how people think he's slow and stuff like that. You can actually charge attack, and right as the charge attack comes out, you can whiff a back attack to almost do like a wave dash. And now that this is faster with the charge attack recovery, I'm sure people are going to be able to get used to the new timing and are going to be moving a little quicker with them. Keep in mind, you can also use the momentum of the charge attack to cancel into different special moves and blitz and stuff. So I know a lot of people love doing Dragon Wing after using the charge attack to get almost like a sliding Dragon Wing for combos and regrouping. So that should be easier now. Good change. Use your charge attack more. Do it. The last combo kick recovers faster and the hitbox stays active longer after impact. So what this is basically saying is your basic attack chain, at the end of it, that little kick he does, just like your charge attack, it's better now. It basically got the same change as the one mentioned before where it recovers faster. But that hitbox being active for longer, it's good that they changed that because a problem that was happening before with Axel's basic attack combo is some of the other characters just had a faster combo than he did. So what would end up happening is if he was to keep doing that combo on somebody, they could actually interrupt him on that final kick sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that. That was annoying, yo.
Yeah, it was annoying, but now they fixed it.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that they did that Axel made me. I mean, I was never 100% an Axel fan, but I used him here and there in all the other Streets of Rages. But now that they made him like kind of more mobile, I might start using him again. Before I used to use him because he was a lot faster in the other games, but this game he's slow in comparison to the other games. But now they beefing up his speed, so it's making me like, like him again.
Yeah, I think that's that's really important for him too right now because Axel has more than enough damage. I don't think there's gonna be a single person that's gonna argue with you saying that this guy doesn't do damage.
Yeah, he doesn't need any more. He doesn't need any more buffs when it comes to damage output. He doesn't. I think it was more so his speed.
Yep, that's really what it is. Is for him, he just needed a bunch of speed changes, and I'm glad I've been doing that for him. The final change that Axel gets in this update is his default defensive special, so that's the Dragon Wing. It now has more depth, and whenever you see a move says it has more depth, that just means that they basically polished up the hitbox on it to make it make more sense, and they made it better. So that should be catching a lot more people. It should be OTGing a little bit more easier. It should just overall just be a better feeling move.
So for those who don't have like Axel's moveset right now, the default moveset for Axel is really, really good now. He feels like a really solid character. His speed has gotten way better since this update. The way he's able to chain attacks now, excuse me, is gonna feel better. And then now your kill confirms are gonna be a lot more consistent too, and I think that's like the biggest thing, especially for y'all speedrunners out there. We're all about getting those speedy kill confirms and moving and grooving.
He's not that fast, but like as far as walking speed, but he can cancel a lot of his moves now, a lot better.
Yep, which you can use the momentum of those moves to make up for his walking speed. So overall, I'd say Axel definitely got some much needed love in this update. You're probably gonna see a lot more people when you start doing public runs and survivals and arcade runs and all that. You're gonna probably see a lot more Axels. And for y'all dedicated Axel players, I know y'all are eating in this update right now. This man got nothing but buffs. I didn't see a single nerf.
Nah, he got no nerfs, bro. No nerfs at all.
All buffs.
Yeah, ever since the game came out, he hasn't had any nerfs. I don't recall him having any nerfs.
Yeah, no, I can't think of any nerfs he's ever gotten either, too.
That's wild.
Because I think he's one of the, I don't want to say because I don't want to like get that misinformation, but as far as I recall, I don't remember him ever having an infinite either. He had kill confirms, but he never had an infinite. And I think it was because of that reason they never saw a reason to nerf him, because like every other character had some sort of infinite at one point or another. I guess that does Axel 4.
Yeah, that's Axel 4. So, alright, so let's go to Blaze. The only thing they have for Blaze, based off of the last patch before this one, is she had increased damage on wall bounce from offensive special. Infinite combos are harder to set up. That was literally all she had. But
yeah, that sounds about right. Because old Blaze in version 7, because that's what I'm going to call it, because that's what people call it, that update was version 7. She had quite a few new infinites that people found out. Again, them being execution heavy, but the fact that she had them with her base set was insanity. And she was already just such a good character anyway. And she had really good like kill confirms. Her jabs were safe. Her cancels were great. Damage was good. Consistency on hitboxes was good. Like she was just a solid character. That's why they didn't like really do much to her. And when the game first came out, she was one of the best characters in the game next to Adam. She was killing it. So now in this update, with the notes I have here on version 8, she got hit a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. She got hit a little bit, but she did get some decent buffs to kind of make up for it. So, Azanson or whatever, they changed her alternative offensive special. So this is really funny. When this first came out with the Mr. X's Nightmare, I remember posting a video on this, or just raising awareness of it. This offensive special led to the easiest infinite I have ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Because it would just it was just a bunch of series of flip kicks that would just launch the person in the air. And then you would just jump kick. Hold your jump kick in midair after hitting it, charge attack on the wall, and immediately cancel into that move again, and then jump kick. And the jump kick was keeping them against the wall while getting rid of all the wall bounces, and then once all the wall bounces were gone, infinite. And now they made this move better, because now it ignores the weight of the opponent that's hitting. So what that means is regardless of how fat the enemy is, so like when you fight Big Bens, Combos, those rockets, they will fly the same height. Now, this is going to make it more consistent for getting more hits on those guys, but on the bigger guys, you're not going to get the infinite anymore. That is gone. I'm sorry to say it. Good luck. You're not going to get that infinite anymore, and to be perfectly honest, people really weren't using this offensive special like that too much anyway, because Kosho is just so good. So
yeah,
you got that going, man.
She's good already, man. She's good, man.
Yeah, she's really good.
She's always been good throughout all the Streets of Rage anyway.
Oh yeah, she's been one of my go-tos, like when I first started playing this series.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to see that she still kept that even after all this time. The second change they made to this offensive special is they actually reduced the amount of life that it takes. So now you can actually use it more and not feel as bad. Because I'm telling you, when I used to do that infinite, when I first discovered, the amount of green health that thing was taking on Mania Plus was wild. It would take like 1/4 of your health bar.
Oh, so it doesn't take a lot of your green health. It doesn't give you a lot of green health, right?
It does not do that much green health now. It's a lot more reasonable.
All right.
Which is good because that move is still susceptible to anti-air. So for y'all using this move, this is more to like use it as a combo. It's not going to be your crowd control move. This is the move you use for like if you're trying to do kill combos and stuff. And now it's on to the most controversial move of her, the Rekiken. We all know, we all love that alternative blitz, that fist that ends everyone. They actually buffed and nerfed it. So I'll go over the buffs first. The first buff is they made it safer. It has 2 more invincibility frames now. So basically, what this does is it turns it into Shiba's Flying Blitz. You remember that attack? The flying kick that everybody loved to spam?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It turns it into that.
Basically, because it's got more invincibility now.
So does it have invincibility on startup or finish?
I believe it's on startup.
Okay.
Because once that attack is already coming out, I think that's when the invincibility frames were going to end anyway.
When does it end though? Does it end after the move?
I believe so.
Okay.
Because when I was using it after the update for this one, I felt like I was able to anti-air with it a lot more consistently. In case I didn't feel like using green health or wanted to get some of it back. So yeah, move feels more consistent with doing that. However, here comes the nerf. So they reworked its juggle properties. So what this means is it's going to cause fewer infinites. Now, the Rekiken infinite is not necessarily gone. What it's just going to mean for players using this move is they're just going to have to find a new route. I've been trying to find a new route. It's still a little tricky to do it because my old route again was using the that little offensive special that she does with the flipping kicks and all that. Yeah. And then once I got rid of all the wall bounces, I could then transfer into the Rekiken infinite against the wall. So you can still do it. It's just your setup is going to have to be different. But this is the nerf that's going to hurt this move though, is Rekiken now does less damage. So
makes sense though.
Yeah, it does make sense because you'll see later on they did that same change with Cheetah.
I mean, it's like a move like that potentially could still have an infinite route to it. Should have have a crazy amount of damage reduction on it. Makes no sense.
Yeah, because before when that move first came out, boy, that thing was deleting people. That thing would kill Max so fast. All right, now the next change. This is for her alternative air special. So it's basically her default blitz, but just the final hit, that swipe she does after the flip. So this basically is going to receive the same change that what's it called? Her default blitz got in the old update, where it ignores the weight, makes it more consistent. The other change that it got is it has a better hitbox now. Its depth is better, so it's gonna feel better. The big one on this move that was killing me a lot when I used it is its recovery time was reduced. So you might actually be able to get a combo from it now, which is better. Another thing that it also got, which is a quality of life change that a lot of special moves are getting, is its life cost was reduced. So, hey, you don't use as much green health. This is good. The final change that it also got is its hit stop time was also reduced, which means if you hit multiple people with it, you're not going to be stuck there. You're going to be able to recover in time to either continue a combo or get ready to hit them again. So overall, I think this move got better. I am glad that they changed it because now when people use Rekiken, you got to remember this move OTGs. So the fact that she got a much better move and just move depth for it with the OTG still intact means people are going to be able to use Rekiken and not have to worry about not having an OTG accessible to them if they want to have one.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense because,
overall,
like I said, the whole science behind making moves is you do not make a move fast, strong, less recovery time. What is it? A lot of range. You can't give it though all four. You gotta get rid of one. You gotta like nerf one or two of the things so it could be a balanced move. Especially for a character like her, she's not nimble, so it's like you can't make her fast, strong, good range. That's ridiculous. So it's good that a move like that has reduction on its on a damage output. Like I think a lot of them, any move that's prone to laying infinites on people, the damage output should be greatly reduced.
I agree with that sentiment too, because it was just like the amount of times where I would just be in like a random public Mania Plus arcade run and I would see Blaze and I'd see them have Rekiken on, and it's just like I wouldn't even have to do much for them. I would just set them up. I would get rid of all the wall bounces on like a boss or something, and once they got in that Rekiken loop, I would just sit back and sip my drink, bro. Because I knew the boss was gonna die like in 10 seconds. Because that move was just hitting.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, bro.
Alright, so another change that she got, this is another series of buffs for another alternative move. This is for her alternative defensive special. It's basically, it's these two like punches that have flames at the end of it, and she does them pretty quick. It's like hit, and she actually side switches herself when she does it too. So this got a good damage buff, which that's actually important because that move is invincible because it's a defensive special. So what this means on enemies that can't like move, for example, like Max, when you fight him as a boss, he doesn't really like juggle and move. This move can actually kill him pretty quick. And it can be a good answer to him either trying to grab you or him trying to jump kick you or whatever it may be. It's going to do good damage, especially against him. And it's also going to be really useful on the final boss when you fight the robot, because doing that inside of one of its legs does mad damage.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Another buff that it got is longer active frames, which is good because sometimes people would actually do it so quick that the second hit wouldn't come out even though you hear it, and so therefore nothing would hit on that side, and I feel like this helps change that. Obviously another change I got was the life cost was reduced, so less green health, which was good because that thing just like Adam, too much green health. I'm glad that they're adjusting that. It also has now better range and depth. So as I mentioned before, it's just going to feel like a much better move. It's going to hit from much further away. You don't have to put yourself in danger as often. And it'll be good for crowd control. And now the next change, going on to her alternative star move. So it's basically like the Super Kyosho, the one that she does 3 times in a line. This now has much better damage and it has better depth. Because I know a lot of people like using her original one when she does almost like this like energy gathering and then she launches them all into the air. That's like her, her default star move. I didn't really feel like people were the alternative too much. And it's a shame because there's actually a couple scenarios where I actually preferred that one over the original, especially when I'm like crowd controlling people, because it just has such a big hitbox. And now that it has a much better damage output, it means I'm going to be able to kill with, with that quicker. Don't forget, people, this move can also wall bounce, and it OTGs. And it OTGs, anytime a star move OTGs, it doesn't actually use your OTG. So you can get another OTG afterwards to keep the combo going.
Keep that in mind, people. That's a little gem.
That's a really important factor. Because if you do that correctly, because this wall bounces much easier, like I said with that Rekiken change earlier, you might be able to get an infinite off of it if you get the timing down right. So experiment with that move a little more. And then the final change, this is to her back attack, which we all know how good her back attack is because it actually
those
a lot of
infinites,
people
baby.
used it for combos. Yep, it used to be for infinites. It got a buff. Its hitbox is now extended upwards.
Damn.
So what's gonna happen now is it's gonna be more consistent for combos, But what I have noticed with that move is because it actually extended the hitbox upwards, it actually changes a few combos. So while I
It might make it harder now
because we might have lost an infinite or two here or there, but what we gain was just better anyway. I feel like they're just trying to move the game from infinites anyway, and we really shouldn't need infinites. Our characters hit so hard.
Yeah, I think infinites is only good if they like extremely hard to do.
Right. That's why I don't mind whenever I see like somebody doing a like there's an Atom Infinite, and I'll talk about that when we get to the Atom changes, because it got introduced with this update, which is really funny. But that's the changes for Blazes. Overall, I'd say she's still an incredibly strong character. For those who feel like she may have like lost a lot of stuff and didn't gain anything, I'm telling you, experiment, because with the changes that a lot of her moves got, with the better hit depth and more damage on certain moves, less recovery, ignores weight, you guys may have lost some infinites, but your crowd control, your pacing, is going to be so much better, to the point where you're not going to need the infinite anyway. And then your kill confirms are going to be so much better too. I'm telling you, that alternative star move hurts now. It really hurts. So please use it.
Yeah, people gotta just get used to the, you know what it is, people have been very complacent and used to the way their characters are now. I mean, sorry, they used to be. So with these changes, it's like the rug was pulled underneath them. Like even when it comes to skate, you know, but we'll talk about that when the time comes.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna let you handle the skate changes, because they're nice. People are sleeping on that character, I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's nuts, man.
Moving on in order, the next character from the Streets of Rage 4 cast is Cherry Hunter, and this is a character I've been waiting to talk about because I feel like people are sleeping heavily on Cherry right now.
The things they did set up before was Blitz cannot fall into holes, as well as charge attack and combo ender. Defensive special knockback is bigger. Canceling back attack with defensive special don't hit enemies anymore. Those were the changes she had.
Yeah, so what's interesting about those old changes for Cherry is I remember before that update, she actually got a previous couple of buffs that really made her take off. I remember specifically her getting the damage buff, because a lot of people were complaining that she wasn't doing enough damage.
I remember that.
Yep, and when she got that damage buff,
that's ridiculous. She don't need. The thing is, I was telling people about this. It's all about the archetypes of a character and how they flow. You do not give a character like Cherry massive damage output. You just don't, because then it takes away the whole point of being a combo heavy character. You having to be good with being able to evade, crowd control, knowing how to dodge people, all that stuff. Like it takes away from the meta of the character. It makes her not who she should be. That's kind of like giving Skate a whole bunch of damage output on all his moves. That's ridiculous. It makes no sense.
Yep, and I remember they did it anyway. When I went to go test it, I could still remember it so well because I was just so shocked. I did her usual grab pummel, where you jump on the enemy and pummel them a bunch of times and jump up and do it a couple times and loop it, right?
Yeah.
That pummel did so much damage that I remember I remember seeing this. A few people came up with kill combos on bosses because of how strong that pummel is. And in fact, to this day, you can still do it if you catch Nora on stage 3, because she's one of the few bosses that doesn't really like try to interrupt you. You go for a bunch of pummels on her. You can just keep pummeling her to death. You angle yourself just right in the corner. She just keeps walking into you. And so she keeps walking into the pummel, and you just pummel her to death, and she would die so fast. I remember that was like one of the fastest ways to clear her boss stage, because you would just jump on the 2 super Gaussias onto her, and then that was it. Because the Gaussias would have such a hard time hitting you from up there. So, you know, she still has her damage buffs, by the way, people. That didn't go anywhere. But now I'm gonna talk about her new changes. because this is ridiculous. Ready for it? Because I'm excited.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so the first change is for sound check. This is her defensive special. It now hits sooner. So this is a good change because I feel like sometimes it would take forever for this move to hit, and especially when you needed to hit it now before an attack would come out. Good change. The special stage effects. So this is her most popular alternative special. I feel everybody like uses this one. This is her alternative air special. So it's this diving kick that she does that leaves a fire patch on the ground, and that fire patch would OTG and launch people. Now what this does, people, is the first hit has a small ground bounce, and then the other change that it got is it doesn't knock people down on the first hit. And this is a change I've been waiting for a lot, because the what would end up happening a lot with this move is because the first hit would actually knock them down, you wouldn't get the OTG launcher, and it would, you know, obviously mess with your combo. Now it shouldn't do that. You should have a lot more consistency in at least getting that launcher. You gotta remember, that launcher hit, if you connect it in a weird way, you're not gonna get your OTG still. I can still have that little problem. Even like testing it now, I still get that every now and then. Overall, the move got better though, because now your OTG is gonna be a little bit more consistent. Even on like the bigger enemies like Kubo, like the heavier set enemies. Moving on from special stage effects, we have the somersault. And for those who don't know what the somersault is, the somersault for Cherry is her alternative defensive. I feel like people just gravitate a lot more towards the sound check because of its combo, its death. But somersault is actually much better now. I always thought it was like a really cool move because unlike sound check, she can actually move towards it, and she isn't limited in her movement too much, because she can move left and right during it. And it's a quick 2 hits, and it actually does pretty decent damage. But what makes this move so nice is, unlike sound check, its hitbox is a straight up like 360 degrees. So it hits all around, even hits quite a bit above her. So this move is really good at anti-airing stuff. So like those rubies, those hot kick girls, and all that, they would have a hard time trying to anti-air or get their jump kick out because of how effective this move was. And now it just got much better. So reading off its changes, first change, which I love so much, they reduced how much life it takes from green health. And the other change that's really good for it now is this move is now fully invincible. And this is really sick because, like I said before, you can move during it. And now that it's fully invincible, you can just go spam crazy. Because once you're done with the animation, you can just immediately go into like another move, like say like a blitz or something. You'll be able to get some interesting combos with it. I have seen some people actually use this with combos before, just because it has such a massive vertical hitbox. Like that thing is huge. Overall, much better move. The last change that it also got is it has a deeper hitbox, which very clearly, just using it now in my own training, yeah, you'll definitely notice it and feel it. Use this move, experiment with it more. In case you want an alternative to sound check. I know sound check is probably still going to be used by a lot of people anyway, because I think people are just too used to it with the way it wall bounces at its combos. And the fact that it got a buff this update anyway too. The next change that's insane for her, this is the one I really wanted to talk about because I seen a video earlier just showing just how busted this change actually is. But so both her blitz attacks, her flying knee, and then that sliding guitar hit that she does, they can now be canceled by an air special before they end. So what this means now is it's just another one of those you don't have to really commit things, because if I see I'm about to get anti-air by like a Donovan, I can immediately, even on whiff, like I don't even have to hit anything with this. I can just immediately cancel into an air special. And if you're using the alternative air special, then you're just gonna be able to immediately do like, basically almost like a low to the ground dive kick. Like you would say like in a fighting game or something, like say like Mortal Kombat, like Kung Lao. And this is gonna lead to some really cool crowd control situations. It's gonna lead to some good damage. But more importantly, the reason why this is also kind of cool is because now that it can be air special cancelable, she can basically do this crazy like sequence with sliding knee, which is an alternative, where she can actually cancel very easily at the end because the move was considered airborne for some reason. So like people were having a hard time getting it in combos. But now that you can air special cancel, you can use sliding knee and then at the end of it, use the momentum to do any one of your grounded special moves. So the video that I saw is really crazy. You can just do sliding knee into sound check, her original defense special, and you are just fully invincible. The man had like 20 bongos in training, and they weren't touching him. They couldn't touch him because...
Oh, really? 20 bongos in training? That's one of the hardest guys to fight in training, man. If not. Because once you get caught by one of them, that's it. Again, he had him on the hardest level.
You would just get killed. But the thing is, because of how strong sliding knee is already, like I already thought it was a really good move. The thing that kept it in check was you couldn't cancel it at the end. Now you can. And because you can, you have options. You actually have some really cool options because the momentum she gets from the slide after it hits, you can actually use that to cancel into a special and keep the momentum. And you'll see this on like her offensive specials if you do an offensive special after it. But the big winner for that is just the fact that she can do a defensive now. So her crowd control, especially in something like survival, is going to be insane because she can just keep doing this, repositioning a bunch, and just staying invincible. And as long as she hits one person, she gets that green health enough to do it again. And you gotta remember, sliding knee actually OTGs as well. So even the opponents that are on the ground, you can get something and it's good.
Yeah, they getting scooped.
Yep. So it's the really, really good move now. And the fact that like she has these air cancels, because she already got a previous air cancel in an old update before when she got that damage buff.
So and people saying that she's not that good still, right? They complaining about her.
Well, it's because Cherry is a very high execution heavy character. I think she has one of the highest skill floor ceilings in this game. Next to what's his name?
What, Zan?
I want to say Zan, but I also want to say FLOYD. Because FLOYD is also a little difficult to use as well.
That's true.
But yeah, no. The fact that she's getting more like options for cancels is really good. Don't take those for granted, people. Those are really good.
And she still has good damage output as well.
Oh yeah, her damage did not go anywhere. She did not get a single
damage nerf.
Well, actually, I can't say she didn't get a single damage nerf because I'm seeing it right here.
Oh, what did
they gave her more damage to compensate for it anyway. But there is one nerf that she did get in this update that I'm going to bring attention to because it's a lot bigger than people think, and it is her pummel. So we all know and love it. It's her jump pummel when she jumps onto an enemy's face and then starts pummeling them and does her little jump loop over and over and over and then keeps pummeling them. So now when you're on top of the enemy during the pummel, remember how I was saying she was incredibly safe up there in the previous update? That got nerfed.
But
She's now more vulnerable on top of an enemy.
Oh, so you know what that means then, right? They probably extended her hurt box when she's on enemy.
Yep, that's exactly what it means. So when you're doing this pummel now, people, you need to be very aware, because before were things like Galcia's and Donovan wouldn't really be able to hit you. Like Donovan wouldn't be able to uppercut before as well when she was on top of an enemy in the old update. Yep. Now you're getting hit. So you need to make sure that you're grouping up your enemies accordingly. Have them be in the front of you, not behind you. You can't just ignore the people behind you anymore when you're on top of an enemy pummeling them. Which is why they gave you the ability to leap off of an enemy to then reposition on another enemy and continue to pummel on them. That's the whole point of using the air movement. That's what I'm talking about.
Does she have any iframes when she jumps off an enemy onto another one, or no? She could be anti-air.
As far as I remember, I think she still kept those because I didn't see any changes to it.
All right.
So that should be a little safer. Now, when you do flip up after jumping off of an enemy, be aware that you are now considered airborne. So anti-air moves will come out from enemies. So if you need to use your air special to keep yourself safe, to kind of bypass that little fault. But other than that, that's like the only nerf that I see on here that she actually like really got. Coming with another big buff, so her default air special, which is just her her guitar slam, this got more damage. So honestly, giving a character like Cherry more damage, yeah. Did I mention that this move also OCGs, and in the previous update, it got a massive buff where it actually ignores the weight of the enemy. So it launches people mad high no matter how heavy they are, which is good for Cherry because she can get an actual decent follow-up from that. So use that more, please. It's really good. I know the alternative air special is really, really good and people really like that one, but don't sleep on her default one either, because that does mad damage. It chunks. And now the final change is actually to her alternative special in the air. Is her special damage has been rescaled. So what they did is they did it like this. The actual hit does more damage, and then the fire pool that it leaves behind does less damage. So what this means is they're trying to encourage people to actually hit with the actual move instead of just spamming the fire pool everywhere. Still good though, because overall the move just does more damage anyway, so this just another damage buff. Honestly, I can say after all these changes with Cherry, people need to wake up. Wake up and use her, get good with her. I'm telling you, it's worth the investment. It's really fun. You have so many creative combo opportunities. She's a really good speedrun character, by the way. Just putting that out there. Yeah, she is. Really good speedrun character, because the way with her run, which is different from Adam's dash and Shiva's dash, is because she's constantly running, the camera isn't struggling to keep up with her, because she's not running faster than the camera. She's running just at the right speed to be very quick, but to keep the camera rolling.
Yeah, she's like kind of jogging. She's not actually the difference between her and those two guys. She's running, they're dashing.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
And the other thing too is because she's running, she can actually go up or down. She can adjust. She can even almost backwards run, almost like a moonwalk to reposition for certain moves and combos. Yeah, really cool. Overall, good changes for her. Cherry's eating in this update. Alright, the next person we got going on is FLOYD. I know the FLOYD players are going to be happy in this update because my boy FLOYD got a lot of buffs. So we're going to read off the original notes first.
Yeah, so FLOYD beforehand had better jab range, better hitbox on combo, added weapon specials, and slightly longer forward jump. But now he got, oh man.
Yeah, this is a lot. So it's gonna take me a minute to go through this because they did a lot.
He eating, man. He's eating.
Yep. So the first one is he walks faster. FLOYD is now just naturally faster on the ground, which is really good. The second one, which I feel like people need to wake up and realize that this is a massive buff. Like, I actually tested it out the first day when it came out, and I was astonished that they would give something like this to him. So, it is now harder for enemies to escape Floyd's throws and his throw combos. So, what this means is his magnetic grab, which is his default offensive where he's like, gotcha, and he pulls you in.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much harder to escape from his grab. Like, it is actually insane. Like, the bosses are struggling to escape. And when it's harder for somebody to get out of his grab like that, Floyd is one of the few characters that can actually combo and re-grab an opponent mid-air into almost like a standing grab again. So, for example, if you were to do like a very basic combo, like I can like throw out the easiest ones, like you just do a basic attack chain and then do the gotcha grab.
Mm-hmm.
When you got them in the gotcha grab, you can just hold them there. You can think. You have a lot more time to react. You can carry them a lot longer. They don't wiggle out as quick. And I'm noticing that even on like the bigger guys like Kobu and like boss enemies, the guys who are heavier that want to like break out of your grasp and stuff. And what makes this so crazy is his special that he can do when he has an enemy grab and he shocks them with his gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
So his grab special, that electrocution when he holds them and zaps them, it now launches higher. And this does work on all body weights, even testing it now on this robot guy because he's a very heavy body weight. This is good. This leads to big damage because while this move is happening, you can actually charge up a charge attack and let it fly. And once that charge attack connects, you can re-grab them because the charge attack got better in this update too. And it leads into this really damaging combo, almost like a loop. And had they not been able to like break out towards the end because of diminishing returns, this would be an infinite. And it would be a very damaging infinite too, because his shock grab does a lot of damage. That's what he's got going on. I can't wait to see what people come up with that. And I know you Floyd players are going to be eating with that.
Yeah, they're going to be going ham, son.
The next massive buff that he got is his jab range got even better. Floyd's jabs are just getting better in every update, I swear. This is good for him. This is going to make it a lot easier for him to just keep his distance on enemies, because that was one of his like best things.
His jabs
holding
are
people
good
in
now.
place. And then another thing that is really good for him, it's crazy that they gave him something like this, but his combo damage got increased. And giving a character like Floyd more damage is really scary. So do with that info as you please, people.
He was already taking a lot of damage.
Yup. Another combo change is his last punch launches higher. It goes farther with better wall bounce, and it has better recovery. So what this means is at the end of a basic attack combo, like I was saying earlier, it is now much easier to connect a magnetic grab and then start doing some crazy combo shenanigans. So you got that going on, and there's going to be a lot more easier kill confirms, I feel, that come from this. The next change is his charge attack. His charge attack got mega buffed this update. There are literally 4 changes just for his charge attack alone, so I'm going to start from the top. The first one, damage increase. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. It hurt. It hurt a lot. The next change he got is it launches higher, and it launches farther with a better wall bounce. You know what this means. Combos go burst. Everybody's gonna enjoy that a lot more. This one surprised me, but they actually gave him some of Max's treatment here. His charge attack now has armor properties. So this is more of a survival change than it is like Arcade Mania Plus change, because in Mania Plus, I know people are going for full combos, so even if you get hit during armor, that would actually make your combo drop. But for y'all survival players with Floyd, this is a very nice change.
We're gonna need that, man.
That armor that armor is pretty resilient, I gotta say. Anytime I feel like I want to let a charge attack fly, I can always get it out. I've never had like a problem since the update now. Whereas before, I'd like to do a basic attack combo, and if I was quick enough, I'd actually get a charge attack at the end and then grab them for even like more damage. And sometimes I would get interrupted. Yeah. But it's got armor now, guys. So abuse that while you can. And the last change is it has better recovery. And from what I'm seeing, is it seems like this has better recovery on whiff and on hit. So that's a double buff. And that's all the changes for his charge attack. So power slide. This is his alternative air special. People didn't really use this one too much just because the way it was launching before this update was kind of janky. Basically, he does this diving kick.
I remember that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. It got better this update. Not many people were using it. I'm sure people use it now more. So they added a hit on the way down, which it needed.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is the big change for it. But now the power slide launches higher, and it launches enemies closer to FLOYD, which means you'll actually be able to do follow-ups. Keep in mind, people, that this attack also OTGs, so do with that what you will.
Yeah, OTGs are crazy.
I think it's a much better move now. Yeah, I think it's a much better move now. Because the momentum you get from it and the fact that it OTGs, it launches closer towards you because the enemy actually flies towards you, means you can get a free grab or combo afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Much better move. The next move we got going on here is his throw. And it's important we have to actually talk about his throw because his throw might as well be considered a special move because his throws are fundamentally way different than any other character in the game because of the way his throw works. So I'm going to start from the top here. His throw bounce is higher. This is good because this obviously leads to throw loops, more consistency in throw combos. The next throw change is his throw wall bounce damage is increased, which is really good because I know people love doing wall bounce combos with his throws. So that's going to be killing a lot quicker. This is a really good change, although subtle. I feel like people should wake up and see it. His throw now hits the enemy at close range, so there is actually a problem with his throw when it came to crowd control. Sometimes if an enemy was close enough when he threw somebody and they were inside of each other, too close, they actually would not get hit by the enemy that was thrown. This has now been fixed. So you'll be able to do a lot more crowd control from just throws alone, not even just talking about blitz attacks and special moves and all that other nonsense. So that's good. Another change to his throw is his throws do more damage. Once again, I don't think I need to really elaborate why that's a really good thing for him. Now, this is a change to his throw, but this is going to start talking about his double throw. So his double throw is when he gets one enemy on one side, one enemy on the other side, he picks up and slams them both. So here are the changes to that. The launcher is now closer to FLOYD. So what this means is, depending on what enemy you want to prioritize after getting a double throw like that, you should be able to follow it up a lot more consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, the double throw hurts. That is a really damaging throw. That thing can half health people. It hurts.
Tell me when he's in between both of them, right?
Yep, when he's in between two people and he picks them both up and slants them together. So that's going to do a lot more damage. Well, it's going to lead to a lot more damage now because of the fact that the launch properties of it is better. So like me doing it right now in trading, I can essentially choose which enemy I want to continue the combo on. And another thing that people probably haven't, really paid attention to about the double throw from FLOYD, whenever you do this double slam, it ignores the weight of the enemy. So no matter how heavy two enemies are, the launch is going to be consistent every time, which is good because now that it launches enemies closer towards you, you get follow-ups. You just got to pick and choose who you want to follow up on. And what's really funny is if you have magnetic grab on, you can actually just re-grab them again go up to another enemy and do another double throw. So, really, really good stuff. Now, here's an interesting change that I actually like quite a bit. So, this buff is basically saying his double throw now breaks armor and it breaks invincibility.
That's nuts.
So, what this means is for bosses, I feel like this change is like really crazy for bosses now. So, you know how bosses in every stage, or just whenever you fight them, they have a second phase where they power up?
Mm-hmm.
So, some bosses like to remain completely immune until they're done finishing their animation, to which people would either respond with a star move or a move that would break invincibility or armor. FLOYD can basically do this for free now without using a star move, which is, that's insanity.
Yeah, that's freaking ridiculous.
When I think about it, because that essentially means in survival, when you have a bunch of enemies all the time, if you're fighting a boss that goes into a second phase like that, so say for somebody like, I'll use the most easiest one that we all know, Diva. When she's getting ready to do that super electric puddle to transfer to her second phase, if you do a double throw near her, she's going to get interrupted every time. And you don't have to waste your star move. So that's a really big buff. And I feel like if people actually experiment with that more, you're gonna find a lot more interactions that you can just completely ignore now with the double throw. So overall, that his throws and double throw, really, really good. Which is good because he's a grappler type character.
Yeah, there's only 2 of them. Oh, sorry, 3.
So, right. Now, going over his grab special, I know I mentioned it before, I'm going to mention it here again. His grab special now launches higher. So, once again, this kind of almost ignores body weight. And because it launches higher, you get really insane combos. Like, if I actually practice it, because I was practicing it before, I was able to get like a 70-hit combo, which is his base set, because of that one change. And that combo will probably kill somebody.
Yep.
Really, really good stuff. His grab third punch slams the enemy on the ground, and this is really, really good because now a lot of people would just resort to just, throwing the enemy. But if you actually let that third punch fly, that third punch before would just slam people into the ground and really leave anything, but it was a good crowd control tool because any enemies that were hit by the enemy that was punched would also get hit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a combo tool because it launches them just high enough to where you can do a magnetic grab at the end and loop it into itself like 3 or 4 times. And that alone does pretty decent damage. So, again, do with that what you will. I'm sure people are going to make like fun combo videos using that because I got more options. Now, of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is one nerf in here. Actually, 2. Just looking at it again. The first nerf, Gatling Punch, is not invincible if you whiff this attack. So I know a lot of people, especially like survival players using FLOYD, they love the Gatling Punch because at any point they can cancel into a special or, just special or into a star. But the other thing that made this move so good was even on whiff, it was invincible. So you didn't even get punished for missing it. Now, if you miss Gatling Punch, you will be punished. I'm warning you guys now. Get good at hitting your Gatling Punch, or you will be punished. And that makes sense, because you should be punished if you whiff.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a freak. He's a big-ass guy, man. He shouldn't be having he should be having a lot of cooldown on some of his moves. Come on.
Right. You also shouldn't just be invincible on a blitz attack for whipping said blitz attack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that just doesn't add up. The other nerf that he got, and this is a survival-specific nerf, is alternative defensive special. So this AoE electric trap that he can lay around while launching himself upwards. This is for Bloodthirst. It does not heal you anymore when you're using Bloodthirst. So you cannot lifesteal off of that AoE puddle anymore.
Nope.
I'm sorry to say that this happened, but it was too good. Okay, you have to understand. This move was fully invincible, had air control, was a defensive special, could OTG because it lingered was removing the armor off of enemies, which meant Floyd just got to literally sit there on wake up and not care about their armored wake up. This move had too many things going on for it, and they had to hit it somehow. This is how they chose to hit it. They didn't take away any of the other things I just mentioned, because you still have the good invincibility frames, you still have the air control, you still have the aerial denial, you still have the OTG. The only thing you cannot do is lifesteal. So just keep that in mind when you get Bloodthirst in those later rounds on Floyd. Don't use that special and think you're going to heal from it. Use your Blitz attack, use everything else. They're there. There are options for you. That cheese
more of that
y'all had, gone. It's gone. Get used to it.
The Survivor got a little harder.
Yep. That's, let me see. Yep, and that leads us to our final change for him, is his default Blitz. I know a lot of people don't really use his default Blitz like that, but his default Blitz actually hits quite hard, and it's pretty easy to get combo confirms off of. So now what they did, which was a nice change, is they added some more invincibility to it. And where they added the invincibility at is at the beginning. So that's at the startup, which means that now Floyd has a much better anti-air option or just invincibility option in case he doesn't want to use green health or defensive. So overall, y'all Floyd players, y'all are eating this patch. I know y'all lost that lifesteal cheese, but don't worry.
Now the question is,
the damage buff that you got.
Is his arms, where's the invincibility at? His whole body, or is it just his arms?
So it's on, I think it's his body, but specifically they added it at the beginning more so for his arms, because what was happening with this move is his arms would linger and people would be able to hit that. So what you would do with this move is you want to make sure on the first hit of that blitz to cancel it into a special. And that's where like that invincibility is. It's on that first hit. Because once the second hit comes out, obviously you're already hitting them. So you don't need the invincibility. However, I will say, you still need to be careful with this move, people. Because if you whiff it, you will be punished. It's another one of those situations. You whiff, you get hit. So keep that in mind. Other than that, like I was saying earlier, y'all Floyd players are eating. This was some good changes for y'all. You might have lost your cheese, the lifesteal, but don't worry, you didn't need it. If you're as good as you think you are at Floyd, you didn't need it.
Yeah, a lot of these exploits you don't really need like that, man.
Right.
Alright, so we got Adam, right? We got Adam now.
Yep, Adam.
Adam, it says air specials does 2 more hits, more global damage. Blitz does more damage. Air special, air special now have body hit properties. Adam throw butcher, knives slower, like other Street Rage 4 characters. I'm assuming he's talking about the butcher knives in Chinatown. They slowed it down. Yeah,
because before he was I remember that he was one of the best characters for weapons. Because he had this very specific dash attack with weapons, where he kind of just dash forwards and hits twice. That would actually be so fast that he would just kill people very quickly with like a butcher's knife or something. So they had to tone that down. Yeah, I know. Old Adam was a different kind of man, I'm telling you. But
yeah, Adam was that guy, man.
But now with these new changes, I think Adam is back on the menu for being a top tier again.
Yeah, because before they nerfed him a little bit before, and then now they
nerfed him. I remember actually he was so good that he single-handedly caused the charge attack change that applied to every single character, because he had a charge attack infinite loop that was doing way too much damage and was way too easy to do. It's why people actually have to buffer their charge attacks and do different moves instead of using charge attack and the charge attack. We got the new changes for Adam, and y'all Adam players are very happy. because your boy got some much needed love this update. So starting with the first one, this is a bug fix. They fixed a bug where you could do an air special with no life costs. This is basically a nerf. You should
It's just,
be able to quick event
I
the
think it's a
game.
fix. I think it's just an adjustment, a fix. Cause that's like
Yeah, 'cause,
that's like
like,
that's a
Air
bug.
special with no life. Come on now. But so that's like the first change. Now talking about the actual changes he got. His alternative star move, last hitbox, is now taller, which is good. That's his lift off. It's the giant cyclone tornado attack that he does. That sucks people in. So that's got a much higher hitbox now. It should feel more consistent with grouping people up and sending them on their way. The next chance they got for him is his last combo kick, and his basic attack combo now has body hit property. So anytime you see the word body hit property in this patch note, that just means when he launches an enemy and there are a bunch of enemies behind that said enemy that he just launched in that direction, they're going to get crowd control and knocked down. And this is a really, really good change for him, because now that means he doesn't need to always do a charge attack to crowd control a bunch of enemies. Just his basic combo alone is going to be able to do the crowd control that he was always known for. Because in the first game that he came out with, like in the original game, he had this property. When he did that last kick that sent people flying, anybody that got caught by that enemy, they got knocked down. And what's really funny is before this update, Adam's Street to Rage run in this game had it too. They gave it to him first before they gave it to his most recent counterpart, which I thought was a really interesting change. Having played with it, it feels really good. Honestly, like, just being able to do that, like I said before, I'll use the same example. On stage 3, right before you fight Nora in that really long hallway, being able to just do a basic attack combo and not commit, but still be able to crowd control enemies, great change. Absolutely phenomenal change. So the next change we got here is, if I can find it, here we go. This is the big one that I know Adam players and myself have been complaining about. His special move costs across the board has been reduced for every single special move. Obviously before, old Adam really had a life cost difference and problem. I don't know why they like made that such a problem for him before in the past, but in this update, it got fixed.
Thank God, eh?
Yeah, thank God. Finally, they're listening, guys. They're listening. So I'm very happy about that, and you can even test it yourself. Like if you were to set in training, set any enemy to Mania Plus, and then just spam your special move, you can see it doesn't take as much green health as it did before. It's just such an amazing like change. Like even now, if I was to just do straight choppers, I can get 5 choppers on Mania Plus difficulty, whereas before I would only get 3 if I was just spamming it. So they definitely gave us a very nice buff. So moving on, the next change. Now, this is the big change I wanted to talk about, because this is the one that really made him take off, I feel. So his basic attack combo, the third hit, which is the uppercut, the one that launches before the kick comes out, this is now jump cancelable. So this does a few things for him. Number 1, it gives him more combo options. Number 2, it leads to an infinite, and it's by far one of the hardest infinites in the game to do because of how quick and precise you need to be. And I still have yet to get this infinite down. When I get it, I'll send out a video clip for it. But it's already out there if you want to see how it's done. Basically, you have to exhaust all of your wall bounces on an enemy. Once you get them to the wall, you then have to do an instant down air attack after doing the first 3 hits of his basic attack chain into his alternative air special, the slash kick in the air. And what ends up happening is because of the way that Slash Kick now launches people and its properties have slightly changed, I think, in this update, it leads to an infinite on regular body weight enemies. This does not work on heavies. It doesn't work on Estelle, I don't think. So it only works on certain bosses. But the fact that he has this now, that's crazy. And what's even more crazy about it is because he has this jump cancel now, he can actually do some really interesting crowd control options in terms of like knocking people off the map to get them out very quickly, and it's going to be really, really cool to see how speedrunners, if anybody is going to be using Adam for speedrunning, use it, because I know that's going to be a really sick change. And I was really excited to play with it because that's the same change that they gave to Cherry. That's the same change that they gave to Blaze. Like, a few characters have gotten that change. Anytime something gets jump cancelable, don't take it for granted. That's a really good change. The next change is actually also talking about his third hit as well in this combo. The third hit in his basic attack combo now has an extended hitbox towards his body. So what this means is it's just a lot more consistent in getting that uppercut, because sometimes that uppercut would whiff. So it shouldn't whiff as much anymore. This is a bug fix that they did. I didn't even know this was a thing, but they fixed the bug where you couldn't perform a special. So like you can do an offensive special while grabbing an opponent from behind.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, they fixed that though.
Yep. Here's another buff. They added wall bounce damage on Hao Fang's second hit, so now when you go for Hao Fang loops against the wall, you're going to be doing a lot more damage because the wall bounce is actually going to hurt the opponent now. The next two changes here are talking about his Split Fang moves. So Split Fang is his alternative defensive. It's basically his split, but he does it on the ground, and it works like a defensive special, so it has, you know, it's completely invincible and stuff like that. This now ignores weight, so this move is actually pretty decent now, I feel, in my opinion, just because of the fact that it ignores weight, and it just clears out enemies the way that it does. It's pretty good. Also, against the wall, this is actually, it has a wall bounce. So you can actually use it to combo. So do with that what you will. I'm sure people have been experimenting with that. Pretty fun move. Also, the move just looks sick, I gotta say. I love that animation for it. But the next change for Split Fangs is the wall bounce is now higher. So like I said, you're going to be able to get more consistent combos with it. Good change. Now we got to talk about Sword Upper. So Sword Upper is his alternative blitz. This move already had an OTG property anyway, so it doesn't need that change. But what it did get was it recovers faster, and it has less freeze on hit. So what this means is you're going to be able to crowd control with this a lot easier. And what a lot of people don't know is you can actually special cancel the first hit, and you can special cancel on whiff. So you can actually use this to almost get like a sliding special offensive, which is really cool because you can't do that with Easy Punch.
You can't, and it looks like they increased the range too on it.
Yeah. So that's another thing I noticed with it. But the really cool thing is on that first hit of it, if you actually special cancel after only hitting the first hit of Sword Upper, you can actually get some really cool combos because the way the enemy flies, they actually get almost like they're floating off into space. Like, I would have to probably like send a video clip of that one just because like it looks really goofy when you get it right. But other than that, those are the that's the changes for Sword Upper. Now I'm gonna talk about his Uzi Punch. So Uzi Punch got some much needed love. It now can OTG And the OTG on Uzi Punch, after experimenting with it, it's on the second hit. Which, I'm a little sad that it's on the second hit, but I understand. Because the second hit, you can't special cancel the second hit. The first hit, you can. Which I was hoping that they would put the OTG on the first hit, but they knew better. They know. Now, getting an actual follow-up off this OTG, I'm only able to like do a follow-up, I feel, in the corner. And that's after I got rid of like all the wall bounces and stuff. So I think I'm gonna need like more time to experiment to see what kind of combos people are gonna get with it. But the option is there now. More OTGs, that's a good thing. We like that.
Yeah, before I wasn't able to do it like that, man.
Nope, it was not.
So that's
He always
good.
had to use Chopper, which was such a detriment to him because Chopper takes so much team health. But it was his only that was his only consistent OTG. Now he has another one, and it's for free. The next change he got is his default air special is now invincible. So this is a really good change because Air Chopper was actually quite damaging, and it also had that body hit property as mentioned before. So it can actually crowd control, but now it's invincible, and it has a lower hitbox. So doing instant off the ground like air choppers, I guess I would call it like instant air chopper, I'm gonna call it, where you do it as quickly as you can as soon as you jump. It's gonna be a lot more consistent at crowd controlling enemies and just being safer. That's really what it is. It's just being safer with this move because at the end of it, man, once that final hit came out, you landed in a group of enemies, you were getting hit.
Yeah, they would tear you up.
So now that's gonna feel much better, and you should be able to actually react with a special move in the event that you would get hit now. Also, his default air special gets another cost reduction on top of the other one he got in this update too. So it gets hit twice. So it's really not gonna use too much health now, which is good. We like that. Moving on, his alternative offensive special, which is that sword smash that he does. The last hit now has more death. That's the only change it got, and to be fair, it's really the only change it needed, because this move actually had a very consistent OTG as well, and it was also really fun to do because it had a lot of momentum to it. So unlike Hao Fang, this one kept you a lot more mobile. You weren't stuck in place, and it wasn't so lethal if you ended up whipping this attack. And for y'all survival players, fun tip, if you get Air Master, you can actually cancel out of Sword Smash while in the air to continue your combo. So do with that info what you will. The next change is his alternative defensive. So this is his split frames. It has more active frames. It has more death, and it hits multiple enemies. So his alternative defensive here, much better. I like that they actually like continuously like gave this thing buzz because nobody was using it. Because
yeah, I didn't see too many using that, man. They stuck to the basics with this guy most of the time.
Yeah, because the problem with this move is before the old one wasn't really that great, didn't really lead to damage, didn't really have death, but the big one is it didn't OTG. And Adam was the only character at the time, as far as I knew, where he only had one OTG. Like one legitimate OTG, and that was his Chopper, his original defensive special. So now that he has all these buffs on top of it, and his Blitz has an OTG built in with the Uzi Punch, that means no matter which Blitz you choose, you will always have an option to OTG somebody, which means you can now consider using this, which I think is slightly better than Chopper in some scenarios, because the way it just crowd controls people, bro, it's nice. You can also get some really cool combos off of it too because of its like better wall bounce now, and it hurts. This move hurts. a lot. That's his alternative special changes. I think it's a much better move. Please use this move, people. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, Adam got better. He's better, in my opinion, right? So far, he's better than the last patch. Last patch,
oh yeah, by a landslide.
Yeah, last patch they kind of hit him, man. He kind of got hit, yo. I think what it was, they didn't know what to do with alternative specials. They just threw those things together, and they didn't know how to balance it out and put it in his kit properly.
Yeah. And now they're like making it more consistent and making it flow naturally with his kit. Now that they realized the things that it was missing. There's actually 2 more changes here for Adam. These are the last 2. His throws are now lower. So what this means is when you go to follow up for his throw, it's gonna change the height whenever you land that charge attack, because I know a lot of people love to do charge attack after throwing the opponent over their shoulder, because that's normally how we start like our combos and do loops. Because when you throw at an opponent and then you manage to catch them before they hit the ground, they actually still bounce when they do hit the ground. This is going to be a little trickier to do now in this update. However, I think the lower throw is actually better, because while you may lose some combo opportunities, your crowd control goes up way up. And I feel like people need to start like getting in that mentality now. It's not always about doing the crazy combo that you can muster to put out the most optimal damage that you can do. It's making sure that you can kill enemies at a reasonable rate while staying safe and crowd controlling. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, because the enemy's gonna be more in front of you.
Yeah. So honestly, I think this is a really good and subtle change that I'm sure with time people will come to appreciate. The final change that Adam got is his charge attack has more depth. So what this means is your charge attacks should be a lot more consistent, and you should be able to get them out before you get interrupted. Because a lot of the times when you did charge attacks just raw trying to group enemies, sometimes people would just hit your hitbox and it was really annoying. So this should be a much more consistent move, and it should feel better to combo with because of the better in-depth that they gave it. And that's all the changes that I see for the original cast. So overall, just to sum up the original cast, I say the biggest winners are definitely Axel. Yeah, honestly, the biggest winners are basically everybody except for Blaze. I feel like Blaze probably got the short end of the stick in this update a little bit. But
to
be honest, people, she didn't really need it because she was so good already.
She had those infinites, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and she still got him anyway.
So yeah, they did a good job with that.
She's still gonna be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the order might be. I think the order might be Axel, Floyd, Adam, Cherry, then Blaze, as far as how they benefited from this patch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely said the biggest winner from the original class is definitely Axel, followed by Floyd, and then Adam. Those 3 definitely needed it the most. But now it's time to move on to the DLC section. Starting with Estelle.